Hello, welcome to this little video where I'll be talking through CMI assignment 704, Developing Organizational Strategy. This is just an introduction to the assignment, and it's the first of a series of videos where I'll be sharing ideas and approaches to help you to tackle this level 7 assignment. So what do we mean by a level 7 postgraduate qualification? So let me just unpack that a little bit. So, what we have to demonstrate, essentially, what the assignment is looking for is an understanding of the theory and practice of developing and implementing a strategy. So, it's seeking a balance, really, of theoretical insights, research, and that could be, books, it could be journal articles. I like the Harvard Business Review, that type of thing is a really good source of the theoretical aspect of what we actually mean by strategy, but it's also asking you to demonstrate that you can apply that. So it'll ask you to share a real world strategy that you've been part of or led or facilitated. The level 7 element also requires that we go beyond description. So it seeks critical thinking, analysis, and evaluation of the theories and approaches. So when you present a theory, it's always good to think about the strengths and weaknesses of that theory, either in terms of how helpful you find it in practice, or even better, compare it against another theory or theoretical perspective. So if you see contradictions in the theory of strategy, it's really good to bring those to the front and have a conversation about those. Again, that just means that we're hitting that postgraduate academic skill set, critical thinking rather than just description. Getting started with the assignment, I recommend an opening paragraph before you get into the assessment criteria of just setting out your stall in terms of how do you define strategy. There are many different definitions and interpretations of this word. One observation I have is that when you see it in a sentence, if you remove that word from the sentence, it doesn't generally change the meaning of the sentence, which suggests that possibly it gets a little bit overused. Certainly, it's very hard to find someone's job description on LinkedIn that doesn't have the word strategy in it, although actually operational or operations much more unusual, which is interesting, isn't it? So what do we actually mean by this word, and if we can define it a bit more accurately than it's sometimes used? So one way of looking at it is in terms of our ends, ways, and means. What do we need to achieve? What resources do we have, and how do we get there? There are various different interpretations of strategy that relate it to a vision. So perhaps the more traditional ways of looking at strategy is in terms of having a clear vision or goal that you're trying to get to as a team, a department, or an organization. And then your strategy becomes your method to get to that vision. But recently, the last 10 to 15 years, there have been alternative perspectives like strategy to overcome challenge. So um, perhaps removing the need for this to be all future focused, it could well be that we look at strategy as identifying the critical challenges which we're facing now and ways to engage with those challenges, particularly where they're complex or they're new, or they're challenges that don't have a clear or obvious solution. Also, definitely strategic in nature. So this really, again, just to really, I suppose, open the box on this question. How do you define strategy in your organization? And if you could, begin by talking about that, perhaps, opening paragraph, that'd be a great way to start. And then getting into the assignment, we've got 5 key components. We need to critique the factors that drive the development of organizational strategy. Why do you do it? Why do you need it? What drives it? It could be, so again, it could come back to having a ambitious vision that we need to achieve. It could be a critical challenge that we need to overcome. Michael Porter talks about it being driven by competitor activity and our need to stay competitive in our market space. So it could be that you're driven by social purpose or ecological needs or objectives. So lots of different ways. And what we need to do is look at these different factors with a critical eye. 1.2, critically appraise approaches for development of strategy, different ways of formulating it. Sometimes it can be quite top down and autocratic. The people at the top of the organization dictate what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be going, and then cascade it down. Sometimes it can be more emergent or iterative or bottom up, where people at different levels experiment and innovate, find new ways of doing things, and then share that through the organization. So it can be more emergent. We can talk about some examples, that'd be great. 1.3, discuss the challenges of developing and leading organizational strategy. How do we get the right people on board behind it? You know, how do you influence and persuade people to engage with the strategy, particularly when it's perhaps involves behavior change or a mindset shift? Really difficult. So it could be about resourcing the strategy, lots of different sort of ways to approach this question. Next, moving into the more practical aspect, you need to develop an organizational strategy to achieve a business objective. So, what this is asking you to do is to share an example of a real world organizational strategy that you've been part of. By all means, anonymize it, take out any sensitive information, that sort of thing, but it's just share your method. What was your approach? Can you give us an example? And 2.2, the last part, recommend an approach to implement and monitor the strategy to ensure its success. So, how do we cross that bridge from, if you like, the thinking work of developing a strategy to actually making it happen, making it real in the world? What do you do? What have you done? What tools could you use to support you with that? And then that's it. Assignment complete. So there we go. Not too bad. Total word count, approximately 4,000 words. You can go over or under a bit, but it's in that ballpark. So just looking forwards, various different bits of support that you'll receive. So just like this little video, I'm doing a video for every assessment criteria there, where I'll just share some ideas and examples and possible theories that might be helpful. I won't tell you how to approach it. That's for you and your, because a lot of it needs to be driven by your experience and that sort of thing. But what I can and what I will be sharing on these little videos is some theoretical insights. There's the CMI's Management Direct, which is a colossal resource of e-learning support and also ongoing tutorial and individual support through your tutor and through the organisation that's providing this for you. So lots of support to draw upon, but and also if you're doing this with colleagues, I really do recommend that you get together, that you share your thinking and your ideas. Of course, it needs to be written in your own words, but it could be really good to share your approach with colleagues and sort of help each other out a little bit. Always good to do this in a collaborative way. Thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this little video. I hope it's been helpful, and please look out for my next video, which will tackle 1.1 to really get you motoring. Thank you very much indeed, and look forward to working with you as you go through this exciting qualification.